Jambe Yala Jazalo Kange Lodru Jenye Jendo Yeda Nanda Razal Jenye Dungu Jeje Sej Yeje Toga Leban Kanda Zeb Terar Mare Mondom Donga Jizera Gozor Gola Boje Darat Ela Doju Yandes Doda Jibu Yomonil Lede Jado Donzeji Mare Munze Donga Nyogo Jene Jeze Rangena Dene Daje Zaju Dars Yende Lezo Jaze Doe Chucha Chudan Chunyi Jendre Dale Munze Jam Yala Om Hara Bhajana Tseden Jeje Jeravasara Tale Demo Mumbaravsane Kadan Denju Sholo Toba Lodre Pobe Nawa Zaldozo Kanze Dawara de Bam Chonze Jewara de Nayam Kombo Jamya de Nin Keme Baryando Arashu Ola So Tene Duari Duge Simjen Tamje Lungal Tamje Le Talne Sanje Yugobar Rinpoche Langobar Kyo Nyabe Chamjo Simje Kolonga Saldam December Shu Atela Kangje Sembar Jagu Chue Jeremba Ni Kyakse Chamjo Semba Namje Nyamzo Langje Chue Tamje Chima Cheshindu Mano Ror Tembe Tenju Ne Chunju Deni De Komrem Rapsal Nyama Shejawada Denire O Deni La Da Sajen Namba Shi Sung Yobi Nane Danda Ngazo Niba Re Da Niba Chamju Jisem Yonsu Songsu Sanamidu Tomba Langsu De Yindu Kola Jorwa Ngweshi Cheji Choka Remba Sum Roche Sonangidu Dinana Da Jorwi Kola Mang Chaw Shu Che Ta Kazangi Chötene Kale Mala Shubiin
Please start by giving rise to perfect motivation, that of bodhicitta, thinking that you're going to free all beings who belong to the 6 classes from their respective suffering and establish them in the state of perfect and complete awakening. And then in that spirit, listen to the teachings. We're studying a text which is a condensed guide to Bodhisattva Charyavatara, the text that is the text that correctly shows all the trainings of the bodhisattvas. So it takes all the different practices, the trainings, the precepts of the bodhisattvas, and demonstrates that. And that's the text that we are looking at. Among the 4 sections of our text, we right now still at the second one, which explains the attitude with which one should engage in the practices. In other words, it is the section of taking the bodhisattva vow. And there, when it comes to taking a bodhisattva vow, we have a preparation, a main part, and conclusion. And we still have a little bit left in the preparation for taking a vow.
Tenne lo changpa la lu dang teshin so ki rang lu longju tu sum sabe kewa dang cheba semjin ki tun drupi chirdo pangpa mebar ngoyte. Nekab dang tardu kundun ruwi nyerzo lana mebe kyu ning takpa ne momba la lo chang songudu. Tadi lo chang ye lo chong sanamido lo chang yan jirenpa chire. Lo chang yung lu 다 소남 빠도 메바 사이 긴교 나도 연락 좀 받에 루바로와 연락 좀 루바 이나 양 다동 아주지 장주지 샘 냠조 랑고고요나 나저지 튼진 동 상도 줘야 뿌이다도 뿌이가 나 야로 다에 체도 로중게를 마야 현바야 장고고요래 다 가리 장고도 세도 나저 이 샘지 젬바 너바 가서 채봐 대주지 장주섬의 연된데 너바 총아 연구요래 이 장주섬의 너바 연된데 개 채배 채도 섬지 젬바데 또 쇼총도 당고고요래 아니 섬지 젬바 총 당고고네 섬지 젠사조 강들에도 좀도 섬다 연데 나도도 스타디 소조지 류 지금 소조지 류들은 나도 젬바 좀 쇼요래 아니 류들은 네버코 차게 롱주 된절라 양 젬바 류를 젬바 또 총아요래 대란 젬바 하장 정보여와 아니 소소제 제사 제샤버지 개와당 된조다 나양 아주 젬바 총보다 내 개와디친 내디 대바디 방에 내 람던 연대된데 줍신바에서 딜라양 젬바 총보주 용 그래 제도 다 된조지 젬바디 때문에 뢰당 거고도 뢰 간대 당고도 당보 rem박 민다고 니도 채널을 당고래 제대되는 돈이 남가라 군조숨 살답샤요 되라네 내룰 나 롱조 계산하자 봐담지 계란 남발라 푸사와 인 단에서도 계란 조제가 가리나 봐디 내 지금 있냐마이 뭐바지 제대로 군조라 뇌단에 보여지게 제대다 마 섬전라 는 제야래 네 장주성제 돈바데 랑용도 근데 류양 차랑조라 자인 야랑조지 장 섬전지 돈제도 내류 는 가와 뭐버 제기인스 나가마 장주를 삼만난 섬제레레레 제도 속방에 도당 칼마부 잡을 남들셔야 여러와 어데네도 제네네 다 된다 장주 마도 이제 바로 류든지 계란제도 땅 싸워인도 계란게 다 제도 내가 제기인스 내 롱주 당체바 탐제야 섬제 계란 삼만은 왜 싸워인 그냥 개워 주비 제도다 개워파에라 배준제 제도 롱주디 배주당긴 대산 나서 내 계자 깔바 통면에 단다 보는 개워 싸워 가져 싸워 요래 개워 자체 좀 먹고 싸워 된저 상마야 내 섬제 탐 계란 삼만은 용주 삼만 왜 싸워인 다 계란 레레라 토버쇼 한 토버 자와 쓰지는 게 진짜 럽시 아니 다 된저도지 다 말람 치단 잘라서 그래 시디다 오라 레비르 파르르 뭐저랑이 맹아래디 그런 슝이 오데 벌레도 되게 쉬어야지 어딘데지 그네 아니 로장와 있나 네양 젬바데 또 주충도 줘야지 규제기래 대진하는 장주섬이 돈바 냠존라에 당무시 장주섬 야부 용해라 네 변도 정보지 제기 요래 되게 맞소
So we are still looking at the preparation for taking the bodhicitta vow. or the Bodhisattva vow. And we have seen that in order to increase our merit and prepare our minds for the vow, we have to engage in the 7-branch practice. But that's not all. There's still some practice left that is there for us to do in order to improve our conditions, in order to make sure that the Bodhisattva vow will take a firm root in our mind stream. And in order to ensure that, we need to train our minds. Right? Before taking the vow, we need to engage in the practice known as mind training. And here on page 16, the text explains, then, with the verses of mind training, beginning with verse 11, train your mind by dedicating without any hesitation your own body, possessions, and all your past, present, and future virtues towards the benefit of sentient beings. Develop the heartfelt aspiration that this may become a cause for the unsurpassable well-being of beings everywhere, on both a temporary and ultimate level. Why do we need mind training, the specific practice known as mind training? Well, mind training aims at reducing our grasping, our ego clinging. And it is actually the case that the stronger is our grasping, the less strong are the qualities of bodhicitta. In other words, to increase the power of bodhicitta, the mind, that is aimed towards enlightenment for all beings, we need to let go of our grasping, right? Because there's this kind of proportional relation between the grasping and the qualities of bodhicitta. The stronger is the grasping, the less powerful are the qualities of our bodhicitta. But what kind of grasping are we talking about here? Well, mainly when we talk of grasping, what are we grasping to mostly? Well, mostly we grasp towards our own body, which we identify as the self, right? If we think where's the self, we say, well, right here. So this body then is something that we nourish so much that we have this, too much grasping to it. We cherish it very dearly. The second thing that we really hold tightly onto is our possessions or enjoyments, right? All the things that we enjoy, that we possess. Not as strong as to our body. Of course, when it comes between body and possessions, we would rather let go of the things than of our bodies. But still there's a very strong clinging to things that belong to us. And lastly, we also grasp to virtue, our goodness, our good qualities, like, oh, I have done this, I have abandoned that, but I have achieved this, to our good achievements. And so we need to let go a little bit. We need to lose the grip of our, grasping to the body, to possessions, and to our virtue. And so as the text states here, we need to dedicate it without any hesitation. So the mind training obviously is happening in our minds, right? And it kind of has two aspects. It's two ways to engage in this practice. Well, first of all, we dedicate our body, our belongings, and virtue of the 3 times to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are still present in the space before us. Right? From the 7-branch prayer, we have the field of merit present in the space before us. And we visualize how we kind of like visualize them, and then we recite these verses, right? My own body and all that I possess, my past, present, and future virtues, I dedicate them all without withholding nothing to bring about the benefit of beings, and so on. There are still some verses there, up to verse 22. And basically in this way, we give it away to them so that it actually is going to reduce our grasping. When we visualize that we're dedicating our possessions, our belongings, our bodies, our virtue without holding back anything, then we offer present the Buddha's Bodhisattvas with that, it's going to help us to reduce our clinging. That's one of the ways that we should be going about this practice. And the other way is that we also visualize that, all beings, and actually the whole purpose of giving up our grasping to body, to belongings, and the virtue of the free times is so that we can benefit the beings in a better way. And so we actually train our minds that from now on, we're going to use our body, our belongings, and our virtue in order to benefit the beings. The path towards enlightenment of everyone is filled with hardships. In the past, the bodhisattvas had to give up even their life, their bodies, in order to benefit sentient beings. And so we need to endure a lot of hardships, right, in order to benefit beings. And so here we kind of train our minds saying that until I reach enlightenment, I'm going to use my body, my possessions, and virtue of the free times in order to benefit all beings. So please, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, bless me, right? So that may I take advantage of my body, of my possessions, and my virtue in order to benefit all beings. So we make this heartfelt aspiration that may those things become a cause for unsurpassable well-being and nourishment of all wandering beings, both temporally and ultimately, right? And this practice, so when it's done in these two ways, first we just dedicate it and give it to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, sort of saying they know better what to do with our body and our possessions. And secondly, second aspect is where we also dedicate our body, possessions, and virtues for the sake of all beings. And we sort of give it to them, saying that from now on, we're going to use it in order to accomplish the well-being of all sentient beings everywhere. And this practice, in this way, going to reduce our grasping, our clinging. And so our minds will become more open, right? Much more open, much more at ease, and more ready for, for the vow itself that is going to come next.
Juba Samje Dang, Deula Tam Java, Momba Samje Sigre. Yana Kazangoma Shimba, Sanjo Goma Topdoji Lotte, Momba Samje Dang, Tobia Chidu Mosu, Roa de Juba Samjere. But Tini Tabjudu Nange de Tatanange Tombadi. Kandar Todo Shanange, Tana Sundu, Samja Tamji Chidu, Sanjo Goma Tober Chigi Di Sanjo Goma Tobe Jiku, and a chair Geo Druptiva Paya. Din 내가 돌도나 파르도 좀 보고 된 냠는 제게 인 스타 켈는 남자 잡아대 아니 가르쳐 버려 네 섬지도 말라 말해 맞소.
And next comes the main part, that is the vow itself, the Bodhisattva vow, where first of all, right, the text states that begin by requesting the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to grant their attention. So when it comes to the main part of taking the vow, we start by, first of all, reciting this verse. That's right at the bottom of page 17. We recite it 3 times. And in that verse, which reads, all you Buddhas who dwell in the 10 directions, all you great Bodhisattvas on the 10 levels, all you great teachers, the Vajra holders, turn your mind towards me, I pray. So here we visualize the Buddhas who are headed by Buddha of our time, Buddha Shakyamuni, and we supplicate all those beings to please turn their mind towards us, to grant their attention, right? Because right now we're going to take Bodhisattva vow. And so we recite this verse 3 times, after which comes the actual vow, right? First we supplicate it, and now we're going to take the vow. If we are taking the vow from an actually present master, a teacher, then the teacher is going to recite the verses, and we're going to repeat the verses after the teacher. So that's going to be taken care of. But if we are taking the vow on our own, then, for example, we can recite this verse 23 and 24 on top of page 18 in front of representation of, the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, which are the statues, the scriptures, or the stupas. But if we don't have a statue of a Buddha, we don't have scripture, we don't have a stupa, we can just visualize, right? All of them in front of us, and we're going to take the vow on our own. Right? Ideally, it's from an actual teacher. If not, then in front of representations or support for the enlightened body, speech, and mind, or just on our own with our own visualization. Either way, the procedure is the same. We have to recite these verses, of course, while thinking about the meaning, taking the meaning to heart 3 times. Right? And so here, the first verse addresses the bodhicitta of aspiration. It reads, just as the Sugatas of former times, Sugata are the Buddhas who gone to bliss, so just as the Sugatas of former times aroused the bodhicitta and established themselves by stages in the trainings of a bodhisattva, so just so for the benefit of beings I will arouse bodhicitta. This is an aspiration. And the last lines would be a bodhicitta of application. And likewise, I will train progressively in those disciplines. So here we're making a play, we're making a vow, commitment to, just like the Buddhas of the past have aroused bodhicitta, we're also going to do that. So we're going to achieve enlightenment. Yeah, aroused bodhicitta means giving rise to wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. And that's our aspiration. And then the last lines indicate that not only that, we're not only going to have that wish, but we're actually going to engage in the trainings, in the disciplines, or in the practices, which are the causes of enlightenment, which are actual practices that are going to lead us to enlightenment. First is just a wish to achieve enlightenment. Remember, just like a wish to, to go somewhere, but then actually setting on the journey, that would be an application. And so here we take those vows simultaneously. right? We don't need to recite one and then another. We just recite these two verses together 3 times. And in this way, we actually take both vows of aspiration and action simultaneously, right, at the same time. And aspiration here focuses on result. So it's a vow that is directed at the result, right? I will achieve enlightenment. So this is the result, right? For the sake of beings. Where the bodhicitta of action or practical engagement, it's a vow that is directed at the cause, right? So they are differentiated in this way. And the cause of enlightenment, the actual practices, such as the practice of the 6 paramitas that we will look at later in the text, or the other practices, the practices of 4 means of magnetizing disciples. So in this way, in other words, to make it very easy to understand, what is happening here is that we're vowing to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings and vowing to accomplish the practices, the trainings that are going to lead us to that enlightenment. So both the result and the cause, right? We vow to accomplish the result and we vow to engage in the cause that will lead to that result.
So tene sumba jugdu sumba jula tengdo taso ki rangawa kum taki teren soje hen kawa kum do shu sa ni ta di chala ni ta tring ne sonde ta ani changchu samba ji tala cheba re ni ta thana ne sonde changchu samba tala do choba injo sana tene so so kawa kum gore mingya ne jur tonya ne jur mingde kare charo ko mama chedang mi thamal wa di mingde na ta na changchu samba mingde tobu yure tonya kare charo mama chedang kansa re tanda semje nyamnen chegenji kansa chi chabare mingdo niga ne jurwa injo sana ani kawa kum gore chiji ngoma so so kinga zo kewa cheba inda yang kewa de nyoba de le jang ta kewa cheba na kewa nyoba kala ganzam ji yabu de yojuro wa ta changju sengi ti sun so na namgyu le tene kewa de jaju tongju ji nyoba chewa da ni khu ba dang wa tene chedang pangme de shorwa dang ani jeme de jalwa dene la so ba chungna ya changju semje kewa de gyunma cheba ani sanje go ma to gi bodu pel de yore 남규이나 된다 요 말. 개와 제나 요래 맞으나 요 말. 저 도발랑 싸우잖아고. 개와 된 균 맞아버 누구 유튜잖아. 소소 소소랑 가와고. 디다오지니. 거가 본좀 접어대다는 가 라고서는 소소 소소를 제주이랑지. 아니 셴 가와 곰스도 있더니 다 가서 산제다 장저 선반다 미나라 라당 아니 제비 도와드는 망보 미당 하다 밀라소마 도와 탐제자 아니 다 되는 게 아니 개와 빠도 몇 바진주 장주지 섬지 도마다 랑상요인 천나마야 제주이랑 제쇼 섬든 현나 가오금도 슈 왔다 된도 제주 초가래 네 다 몰람 대다게 제주 장주지 섬 쪽소지 몰람 자오다 대절 장주 섬저 렘보션 마제 반음 라소바 이나라 양슝 코랑 나라에는 몰람 샤마양 송도 다 간다 몰람 강외지 답주고 요래 몰람 되네 네 장주기 줘봐 탈진 봐 로아 섬전dom데 선지 고번 거 뛰봐 섬전dom데 대지도 템바 라서 봐다 몰람 야바든 소 가르담다 되거라 와다 벌주 좀 보시게 제비 장돔 라초기 초가 거랑 sur바지 요래 디나 디 낭시자 되는 되거라 때문에 소소 가르쳐나야 되거라 라서
And after having recited these 2 verses 3 times, we follow up with a conclusion of our ritual, of our, procedure of taking the Bodhisattva vow. So the conclusion is that we need to cultivate joy for oneself, with the verses from 26 to 33, and joy for others, with verse 34. Or actually, I will retranslate it according to explanation of our Khenpo. First of all, we need to cultivate joy for ourselves, and secondly, we need to incite others to cultivate joy for us. So rather than we cultivate joy for them, we encourage them to rejoice in our action of taking the vow, right? And why do we need to rejoice in ourselves and make others also, be delighted And the fact that we have taken the vow, well, it's because from now on, from the moment that we have taken the vow, our life is completely transformed. Our name changes, our status changes. Before, our name was just like this and that, an ordinary person's name. And now our name is that of Bodhisattva. We have actually entered into the assembly of Bodhisattvas. We became one of them. And status also changes. Now we're not an ordinary being. Now we are a Bodhisattva, a person who is on the path to enlightenment in order to benefit all beings. So that is a huge change in our lives. And bodhicitta is going to also empower us in a way that whatever wholesome act we do, it multiplies in its power and its positive result. Before, if we do something good, of course it has some good positive result, right? A good karma. But if now we have taken the vow, and then on top of the vow we engage in something wholesome, then that bodhicitta vow increases the power of that virtue. And even when we are distracted, we are asleep, or we are unconscious, the vow works in a way that we still keep accumulating virtue and goodness, which is completely unique, because in the past, if we do something virtuous, so here's the virtue. We don't do anything virtuous, so there's no virtue being accumulated, right? It's pretty straightforward. But now, because we have this bodhicitta vow, right, in our mind stream, actually, even if we are distracted, asleep, or we have lost consciousness, still the flow of virtue, this kind of a continuity of virtue, is being uninterrupted. It's uninterruptedly accumulated. And this is so perfect now that we have this absolutely, perfect and sublime, mind state of bodhicitta. Is a great reason for us to rejoice and appreciate ourselves. What just has happened is absolutely, amazing, that we have taken the vow to benefit all beings, right? We become a bodhisattva. So it's a great reason to, feel joy. From today, our birth, our life has become fruitful, right? Our human existence has become fruitful, and we are born into the family of the Buddhas. We become a child of the Buddhas. We become a bodhisattva, right? And also we invite all the beings, and like gods and nagas and humans, of course, and we also ask them to rejoice. Right? We invite all beings and we say, well, we're going to bring all of you to the state of happiness and bliss. So now all of beings are present, and we're telling them, from now on, we'll be taking care of your happiness and bliss. And so rejoice, be happy about that, right? So we encourage them to also to rejoice. Afterwards, after this, there's the following aspiration prayer. So on page 19, then, after we recited the verses of joy from 26 to 34, we also recite an aspiration prayer. For example, here we have a very famous aspiration prayer, which goes as, O sublime and precious bodhicitta, may it arise in those in whom it has not arisen. May it never decline where it has arisen, but go on increasing further and further. If we have other aspiration prayers, this would be a good time to include those, right? If we follow some other, not other ritual, but bodhisattva ritual, following some other scripture, like even Patrul Rinpoche, the author of our text, has composed short prayers for bodhisattva vow. And if we have that, we can recite those prayers. We can recite this one, but any kind of aspiration, right? Aspiration that may, what just happened, may it bring about a lot of goodness, may it bring about benefit and happiness for all. This kind of aspirations would be very good to make at this point. And that actually concludes the section on adopting the bodhicitta attitude in one's mind stream. In other words, the attitude of bodhicitta, or taking the bodhisattva vow. That's all.
Te samba Rangjung Yeshe Rangyu la song te song tas Rangjung Yeshe ma jeba ne jeba chebi namsha se urwa odem zo de do song chimbare ta tanda de choga de langda de do jeba do song song a de ba che de na me zo de ba na ne shobanga langba da namso sanje che zong ma se ge zhe de de na ma la sanje de Rangjung Samba salda ne sanje che zong ma de ne 세든 제조되는 되게 상제의 전주 선거 탐지라 뒤진의 자랑기 제조선의 잡주도인 또 건조선의 잡주도인 도둑 삼전 탐지 제도에 도반 냠년선의 최야부지 두부인 선대내지 테마 숨문도지 아버지 되나 네 신는의 되바지 되네 장주지 섬담바 랑서와 다라래 또 딜레제 제도에나 아니 연락도 돌뒤돌 가장 쉬운 봐 돌뒤돌 이게 전화 되게 측도나 되게 돌뒤돌 제 아니 로종기 림바데 만드나 되게 된지 로종 되면은 되게 아니 양섬지 즉 산제 조종 많이 나다 현다신 저거 담면다지 섬지 색깔이 되는 되게 간다 돈다도 상고로 와 제든 라나신 가와 코메도 연한 되게 맨난 되게 제가 와라서 버전한 되게 와 근데 때스 등버전에 되는데 다 개발잖아 흉과라나 셰비 저가 상마지 로고도 와 아니 소소소소라는 도스래 달라마나나 야 라마고노 저가다 뜬네 지송 그래 나서
So in this way, precious, sublime bodhicitta has a reason in us where it has not been reason previously, right? And this section, the whole second section of our text, is a very extended version of arousing bodhicitta. Perhaps we don't have time every day to go through all the steps. So what we can do is, as soon as we wake up in the morning, we can recite a verse. If we have a verse of refuge in bodhicitta, like a famous verse in the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I go for refuge until enlightenment, and I will accomplish the 6 parameters for the benefit of beings. But if we don't have any verse, we can just visualize the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas surrounding us, and just bring to mind the meaning of refuge, bring to mind the idea that I'm going for refuge in you, and then think that from this moment until the end of the day, I will practice the Dharma as much as I can. I will do my best to accomplish the Dharma for the sake of all beings. So basically, we wake up and we think, I go for refuge in the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and may today my life be meaningful. May I engage in this meaningful activity of practicing Dharma for the sake of beings, right? That would be it. That would be already a bodhicitta vow right there. We can just do it by bringing to mind the meaning of the verse. If we don't have verse, so we can recite the verse 3 times. That would be the shortest way to do it. Just takes few minutes, right? We can just still sit in the bed and arouse that mind of enlightenment. And if we want to do a little bit longer version, we could also incorporate the 7 branch practice. Again, we can just recite one verse, which note from a translator I still have yet to post. So you will have that one verse, 4 lines that incorporates all the 7 branches. Or if you can't recite again, it's fine. Just think of the meaning of the 7 branches, right? And you don't need to do mind training. So that would be, you wake up, first you think about the 7 branch practices, and then you think of going for refuge and arousing bodhicitta. So that's a little bit a longer version, right? If you have some verses, actual verses of 7 branch practice, or from our text, they have been translated, right? And here, kind of included in our text, then you can recite those. If you can't, just bring it to mind. And then after you have retaking your bodhisattva vow, you can dedicate. And that would be it. Seal your intention with dedication. So I will do it, and I'm dedicating this virtue of taking bodhisattva vow to all beings. So it's very short, right? You can include 7 branch practice. If you can't, you just do refuge in bodhicitta. And of course, if you have time and you want to really go deeper, and you can go through all the steps that were explained in our text, right? You start with the 7, you take refuge, refuge is part of the 7 branches, so you actually take 7 branch practice, then you do the mind training, then you do the bodhisattva vow by reciting the verses 3 times, and then you rejoice and dedicate the merit. So if you have time, you can do all the steps. If not, you can really bring it to the essential points. And if you're taking bodhisattva vow from a teacher, then the Lama will know what to do, and so you just follow. You don't need to worry about, how elaborate you should be doing your vow. You just follow the teacher's instructions.
So, 제대로 주변 저러와라 냠는 바로도 심어 조도 두에 대다기 뭐는 바신사 아 장저 삼바에 디 뭐라 장저 삼바 많이 받대 장저 삼바 예 봐서야지 답제디 손선 바래 네 도말 가서 다 소조기 도말 나와이나 되는 손데 다 가서 다 장저 삼바 찾아로 근데 장저 삼바 찾아서 줄 땅아 장저 삼바 인 남네 근데 대신은 되게 요 말해 거기 내가 지요래 다 내가 되 가르서는 파진도 냠는 자로와 어디 내가 되 제도 지나 개좀뭐 먹고 쇼주 요래데 내가 도 실로 돌도는 파진도나는 누르고이래 내가 만두비 아니 장저선 냠는 로가지요 말해 개바셔는 먹고 요주로와 어디다 파진도기 되니 남자들 마지 셔바이나 개주 시된 이 동섬서도 다 파진도 상마 개주 시시시 요래 개주 시상 마을로 송고도 다 진바조지라 삼모다나 개주 시든이 동섬라 그래 진바중고도 동도 줄려 방선 매비 돈에 현라 전도这是的真正인지문지 잘라这个말에 그런 최기 소소지 세제 연된 소소지 다 가리시게요 최시게는 최 로중다 가시 이게 지하시게요 가시 리모트 지하시게요 가시 캄바소에 시게요 가시 조스소에 시게요 와 어다 소소 강단 강신기 세제 연된데 현라네 방선 매비도는 현라 남도 줄로 요바이나 태양 다 동섬지로 와 가시 현지 소잡도 현재 강에 매버 손도 줄로 연구로 와 전소 상마양 동섬지 나도 주로 그래 라서
Now that we have become bodhisattvas, because we engaged in the method of making a bodhisattva, we don't leave it right there, but we actually have some responsibilities. And having taken the vow, it's not okay just to leave it at that, but we need to engage in practices, in the trainings of the bodhisattvas, so we can say precepts. And that actually all the trainings of the bodhisattvas are included in the 6 paramitas. So 6 paramitas would be the most condensed way to practice all the trainings, because bodhisattvas have actually very many trainings and disciplines, but all of them are included in the 6. So if we train in the 6 paramitas, we don't miss anything. So what are the 6 paramitas, right? What are the actual, trainings of the bodhisattvas, the practices that we now need to engage in after having taken the vow? First is the paramita of generosity. And what is the essence, actually, of that paramita? And, in essence, each of the paramita is defined as an attitude or the mind that is endowed with 4 special features. So each of the paramita is endowed with the same 4 special features that we will look at later. It's coming. But so each paramita has to be endowed with these 4 qualities, 4 special features. And in essence, each paramita is the mind. It's, for example, how to understand that? Well, generosity, as the text states here, is an attitude of giving. So generosity does not necessarily mean when we have, when it's said that we need to engage in the practice of generosity, the first paramita, it doesn't mean necessarily that we need to go out and give physical objects. Of course, there's also paramita of generosity where we share material goods with others. But in essence, generosity means the mind that is ready to give, a generous mind of giving. For example, if we have some special knowledge or qualities, we can bring to mind the kind of those qualities and sort of make an aspiration or dedication that we are giving those qualities to others. Whatever those qualities may be, or knowledge or skills, maybe we know how to paint or sing, maybe we know how to, build a house or table, or how to teach grammar or heal others, right? Whatever we have, we don't necessarily need to go and give physical thing to others, but we can have this very generous attitude that we at any moment ready to share those qualities, those skills with others. So this is an example how to understand the paramita, which is an attitude of giving.
아니 뽕섬 정도 뽕섬도 줄좀더 제주 시대 이행가라 제주 시대 올레게 바로와 아니 줄좀 세도잖아 대바 메게월 독빌라 로지 내 대바 지게 메게월 지게 개와 지게 인적으로 개와 어딘데 숭섬선하면도 뽕섬이여 봐이나 딜란도 줄좀 세요 바래 수부지 때네 빼 칼레 잡 대바 담 된절 셈지 빵도 당 대발레 타르도 요로면나 딜란도 줄좀 세요 말해 셈지 대발레 타르도나 네 대바 전도메벨로 개와 좀도 요로지 요고 그랬디 줄좀제 아니 서바데 메트로베 셈 송고도 제주 시대 이행가로와 아니 메트로바데 셈 홍도 말랑바질라 촉바스도 셈 초와래 니지고 소소라 셰셰당 갑주당 셈나라 에서 홍도랑 아니 카드 속부데 빼 가서 그래 우주 때문에 대바이나 내일 소바스도 말해 그 홍도랑 사워와 거기도 말랑지 거기래 내술담은 간절도나 셈라신 템보 kana netoba mejige dujja lamna yang semde tembo negyo ba mejige yabo lamna yang semde tembo negyo ba yabo lamne misal gatana tiang soba mare sobe goje shore dujja lamne misal semde khongro lana tiang degyo mare sobe goje shore soba sedu ga gari na semde rangshin tembo kana netoba je gogyere naso.
The second paramita is the paramita of discipline. And here it is said that that's an attitude of restraint. Again, it is endowed with 4 special features in order to be a paramita. But in essence, discipline means an attitude of abandonment, of restraint. So that means, if even with our body and speech, we are avoiding harming others, right? With our physical actions, with our verbal speech, even if we don't inflict any harm on anyone, if our minds haven't given up intention to harm others, then this is not a pure discipline. We cannot say, oh, this person is very disciplined, right? Just because like he behaves or she behaves very well and says nice things. It really has to do with the mind. And it's only when one in one's own mind has this attitude of restraint, like completely, intention to avoid, to give up harm at any cost, harming others, that would be a real discipline. All right, that's for the discipline. And the third paramita is the paramita of patience, an attitude of this really strange word, imperturbability. What it means is that in essence, patience is an undisturbed mind. Translating from Tibetan, it means it's undisturbed mind. So patience doesn't mean that we don't retaliate harm by bottling up our response, right? We don't say something, angry to someone in return. but we kind of feel really disturbed inside, right? But we don't say anything, we don't do anything. Oh, that's not patience. Patience is not when we just like bottle up our feelings and don't express them, and therefore, well, that's patience. Patience means that even when we are harmed, right, slandered, scorned, or whatever, our minds do not get disturbed. Our minds remain stable and calm. That's a real patience. The meaning of patience is really when our minds do not react. It's not only when we don't express and don't harm someone in return, physically or verbally, but it's when our minds are calm and don't lose the armor of patience. Yeah. Otherwise, even if we don't say something, but inside we all boiling, in this rage, that's not patience. That wouldn't be a paramita of patience that bodhisattvas should engage in, right?
ane zhouyu sem sa, ane kechu shi tenji zhouyu sem te la Tsondru se kyo bare. Ta zhou se tu kewa la zhouwa kogore. Deba mi kewa che dang mi se dang kuma kebe la zhouwa yo bayi na, tila ane Tsondru se kyo mare. Ane kewa che la zhouwa yo ba. Ane kewa inmin ji tse di ta ole dang kaza nga zo chewa lepsa wala lep le kire. Chewa duksum raja sheda temo sum dan zel yo bi lunga yisum ji ta lega thamje mege ware. Duksum ji nyembo am duksum pongje duksum da tarwa. Duksum da manjel we lunga yisum ji chewa dinda samala karisagre kewa sagi bare. Wachiri da tanda de duksum ji nyembo gyurbi. Duksum pongje ji lam ji ngor gyurbi chwe dinda la chowa yo ba. Tenda jina Tsondru sagi bare. Ane miyingwe sem samden re, ta diyang kewi sem tse chigpa lagre, miyingwa, mayingwa sam chigi midwa, kewi sem chigkangla nebo gore, sem thama tume kanya mebi kangla lade na, te samden segi marwa, te ko sem mokpa sagire, samden ji midun chokre, samden de kewi sem kangla tse chigdo nebo chigi kogu yore. Ane chwe rabdu nambar jeba sherab te chwe rab ko kunzub ji chwe karere, tuandam ji chwe karere, langja karere, pangja karere, korwa karere, nyangde karere, daga na chindu chwe jin karere, chwenye karere, tezam maase nga zo le kyunre inare, medang chu inare, sadang hing inare, ta jigdenda debi namsha denzo sozo ji da, shen kukurwa, di sheba sangma di sherab siri yubares.
The fourth paramita is the paramita of diligence. And in essence, it is an enthusiastic attitude. Again, it's endowed with 4 special features that we will look at. But for now, we're looking at the essence of all the paramitas. And diligence is it's a mind. Again, it's a mind that takes delight in virtue. So when it comes to enthusiastic attitude, enthusiasm here is necessarily aimed at virtue. If we're enthusiastic in stealing something, enthusiastic in cheating, someone or lying to someone, this is not a paramita. It's not a practice of bodhisattvas. Actually, diligence means perseverance, which is very, very enthusiastic with regards to accomplish something that is virtuous. How can we understand what is virtue, what is non-virtue? And also kind of follow up on the question that came previously in class. How do we know, right, if it's hidden from us? How do we know what's good, what's bad? Well, something that is mixed with the 3 poisons, something that has to do with anger or aversion also, right? Same. And then attachment and ignorance, that will, by definition, will become non-virtue. Anything that comes out of our aversion, attachment, or ignorance is non-virtue. Anything that is free of anger, of desire, and of oblivion state of mind, that is virtue. So if you mix, free poisons, known as the free poisons, free mental poisons equals non-virtue. Freedom from free mental poisons is, equals virtue. And here, diligence is a mind that takes delight in virtue. So it's enthusiasm that we have, that we feel, that joy with regards to abandoning free poisons. In other words, so accomplishing virtue. The fifth paramita is the paramita of meditative concentration. And in essence, it is an undistracted mind. But it's not enough for mind to be undistracted, or undistracted means one-pointedly concentrated on any focal object. It's not enough just to be one-pointedly concentrated. It absolutely has to be, concentrated on virtue. Again, to be a paramita, it's not enough just not to be distracted and not to, be in a state where there is no conceptuality. That could be just dullness. When you're not really distracted and, falling after many, many thoughts, and you kind of feel present, but you're actually, in other words, thinking, this is not meditative concentration. It's not only not to be distracted by thoughts and other sense objects, but it's also to be one-pointedly alert and present with something that's virtuous, something that's wholesome. That's a meditative concentration, this kind of undistracted mind that focuses one-pointedly on virtue. And the last paramita, the paramita of wisdom, and let's see if they translate it here as wisdom. There are many different ways. You can also think of paramita of discernment. So I want to, to see that for sure. Anyway, for now, yeah, we can say paramita of wisdom is in essence, a precise discernment of things and events that is endowed with 4 special features. So wisdom is a mind which thoroughly discerns phenomena. What does that mean? Well, what do we need to discern? We need to discern what is wholesome and what has to be accepted, what is unwholesome, what has to be rejected, giving up. We need to discern what is nirvana, the state that is beyond all suffering. What is samsara, the cyclic existence? What is phenomenon and what is the true nature of phenomenon, or suchness? In other words, we need to distinguish between phenomena and their true nature. Discern between karmic actions. Discern also, in terms of the elements, also even like what is fire, what is water, what is the element of air. So it's basically everything, mundane phenomena and also transmundane phenomena. Understanding, nirvana and samsara, but also understanding how things are in the world, like for example, the 4 elements. So that is the paramita then of wisdom. Yeah, and in this way, we have looked at the essence of all 6 paramitas.
Kejoshini Jimmy Miduncho Nyamdang Nabar Medo Yeshe Ten Deba Tamji Yongzo Che Samjin Yongmen Che Nam Sum Songshado De Jamba Kumbuki Nodeji Nana Songshabe Yesere Ta Kejoshi Kairasana Jamba Miduncho Nyamsana Jamba Inare Suljiminare Ta Sangma Sozo Sozo Miduncho Rere Yongere Miduncho Wala Songudu De Nyamba Meba Chago Yere Jamba Inako 동선 납주 전하고 민전조 서는 매버 주고 그러와 어디 정마올 레기도 아니 민전조 냠바당스 아니 넘버 미도 예셰 된 창마 짐바이나르 줄림이나르스 아니 셰럽 제버도 용조 코르숨남도 메베 찌스마제고 나게 다디 가조 소저 계획이 또스 레당법도 또스 칼레 가보 요래 제마 셰럽지 롬중 제사오잖아 아니 양 대세 레라와당 야바하고도 그래 네 도르나 똥니 지스마 라고요 똥마지 닝항네 지마당 거래서 라고요 동반이 닝안에 줄좀 송거라 그러다 딜 가지고 로라 남상 랩톱에 갖고 지는 거로 와 그래서는 검지 매바래 장마 맞아 바로 와 나도 단다 버도 지 양나 여 바래 양나 매 바래 양나도 양미도 되니 마도 봐 여면이 냠도 로딩 가지고 단다 버도 배셔 당뇨 여 말해 톱선 딜라비는데서는 가리랍송 삼성도 주여로 와 다고 슝된절라 빼로자 다지 당 심주 제용도 농업은 술 가리인 바디 다다 대시 연구래 다 남준네 가지고 되는 세계요 봐 상제지 송디 덴바 레스 라고요 상제 송데 덴바 라고 봐데 상제지 송장 덴바를 라고게 좀 말어와 덴바 임바데 상제지 송샤교래 고체 탐지 예랑신 나와 임발라 당신도 동바 임바도 고벤 내줄래 대 임바데 상제지 송을 마도 상제지 송장 제스 상제지 송바 인장 덴바를 라버잖아 되게지디 텐던션 매버 차그로와 그래서 상제지 가서 그래 좀 임발라 마임바다 마임발라 임바 송샤교로자 용스기로와 텐데 말해 그래서 덴비랑신 마도 좀바디 상제지 텐데 송거요 말해 어디 인도 남바르메 동바 예시 댄스인데 네 동니지 따위지 심베도네 다 지마지 당나양 지마 당서주 율 지마 당켄제 nga 지마 당와 다 동켄 당 동사주 율다 동켄다 다 숨자 랑시 마주베도네 당고래 쓰기래 이 당부 대스 커버로 전자지도 와야 대스 레라로도는 어디 정말 미남 남자로 와서 교만 남자로 와서 삼노당 들 그래서 단단 가서 짐바지 당가르잖아 karma chu chela samlo tangdu chela samlo tangye chigo tembe yul ma do bangone thaya kaya ma re par ro chapsan o ting ngomang he chegyo jiros par la taya re ngone ko ga sa re ku milam dawrang re do ma do bangone kaya mendo a no cholimi na daga na sin re soba ta la soba parjin doja cheba ji nya re cheza namar me do be shi den deba tamji yong zo je parjin to kare nyamni cheba yina ya semjin hian la pen tok do ba ji go yu re但장주선 남告诉 자오做的先边了啊现在看到吧对吧他们这用着但主要是甚至可能的刚突突甚至他们这就对吧他们就主对呗也他不是那过个了啊我的印度对吧他们就用着这아니甚至用民제 남 숨서 되네 다 내가 불러 삼로다나甚至 그런 내가 비강을 살서 줘나 대한 되게 다 타도라 삼로동도 섬진 탐제 야나 니도지 남 야나 랑젤지 남 야나 장주 좀 남나 거도 가지고 그래 대기 사자라 짤도 가지고 중화이나 섬진 민도 봐서 그래 어디 제주 파전 쪽으로라 대 제주 시시시 상나 하는 파전데 천이다 된 거지 작으래 대 히천이다 마상나 도스 갈아가 버래 나서
So each of the 6 paramitas has to be endowed with 4 special features. So what are these 4 special features? The quote on the top of next page, page 20, comes from text by Maitreya Buddha. So it's not from the Bodhicaryavatara, but it's a text from the Mahāyāna Sutra Alankara, the ornaments of the Mahāyāna Sutras. And there it is said, I'm going to read the verse, generosity in which adverse factors have disappeared, endowed with wisdom that is non-conceptual, completely fulfills all wishes, and brings all beings to maturity at the 3 levels. So here we have the 4 lines, which then explain the 4 special features. The first one, it says generosity in which adverse factors have disappeared. Here it has this, it takes the first paramita as an example, but actually it refers to all 6 paramitas. So the first among the 4 special features is that the opposing qualities of those paramitas have to be in decline in order that to be a paramita. For example, an opposing quality for generosity is stinginess. So this opposing factor of stinginess has to be in decline, or has to be kind of disappeared. It has to be not present for this, generosity to be qualified to be a paramita. That's the first special feature. And we will look at all, adverse factors for each of the paramitas. It will come below. The second special feature is that each of the practice has to be endowed with wisdom that is non-conceptual. And this one is really hard for us to understand. It will become easier to understand what is meant by, non-conceptual wisdom when we finish the text. When we look at the last paramita of wisdom, so we'll know what is wisdom, right? And then we will understand that, well, what is meant by, each paramita being embraced by wisdom. But to explain it a little bit now, it means that each of our practice of generosity, discipline, and so on has to be embraced by emptiness, understanding of insight into emptiness. So, for example, when we practice generosity, in other words, we shouldn't be reifying the one who gives, the one who receives, and the act itself. So non-conceptual wisdom is the one that does not reify, does not solidify an object and a subject and an action. And we don't have a habit of that, right? We know our minds are not trained to see things this way. Our minds are very much seeing things as either white or black. It's either existent or it's non-existent, right? It's there or it's not there. And we cannot go out of the box usually to see things beyond this kind of dualistic fixation, either there, either not there. But wisdom is the one that sees, out of the box. And we need to develop that kind of insight. And of course, we will know more once we study and understand how to do that. We develop insight into emptiness, this kind of non-conceptual wisdom, by investigating, by using reasonings, and we will do that when we reach the explanation of the sixth paramita. But for now, we can just take it at face value. In other words, we kind of have to trust that this is how it is. This is what the Buddha has said. And it's not, as we say, the Buddha declared what is true. This is not to say that whatever Buddha said is true. That would be a wrong statement, but it's rather that whatever is true, the Buddha has declared that. You see, there's a difference to say that whatever Buddha said is true, then we kind of have to accept everything, regardless. But actually here, what we say is that whatever is truth, the Buddha had realized that and had explained that. And in other words, the Buddhas didn't teach our Buddha Shakyamuni, the Buddha didn't teach what is not true. And for now, so we can just kind of trust, right? For example, when we engage in the practice of generosity, if we can try to, of course, we can't really see into emptiness right now. Our minds are not there yet. But if we can just kind of imagine or sort of bring to mind that what we are doing is like a dream. Yeah, it's not truly existent. Like me, a person who is giving, is not truly there, like a solid, permanent entity. The person, the being who receives, on the other end, right, of this act of generosity, the recipient is not truly existent, like solid and real. It's more like a dream, like an illusion, right? And the act itself is like, basically, it's like if we take a photo of doing that, act of generosity later, years later, we can look at photo. It's kind of there, but it's not really true, right? It's kind of not there. It's kind of already gone. It's like that. At the moment of doing it, it's basically like that. It's not something solid and real. Here we are doing it. It's more like this really illusory and dreamlike existence. And same for discipline. When we practicing avoiding harm, and when we practice patience, so all of the paramitas need to be endowed with this kind of insight into emptiness, right? And because for now it's difficult to realize for us, as ordinary beings, we can just at least try to practice in a way of understanding that this is like a dream, yeah, not something very solid. That's for the second feature. That's a hard one. And without that, paramitas of the practices, the practices of generosity, discipline, patience, and so on are not going to be paramita, the transcendental perfection, yeah? So that one is a hard one. The third feature, special feature, is that our practice has to completely fulfill all wishes. So basically, it means that the practice that we are doing, the training that we are doing, has to benefit beings. It has to accomplish their wishes, perhaps temporary. So our generosity, our discipline, our patience have to have an impact on beings, a very beneficial effect. Like it might, for now it means maybe that it's just temporary, dispels their difficulties, like their temporary difficulties are dispelled through our practice, right? But it has to have some very beneficial result, temporary and ultimately, of course, as well. And the last quality, special feature, it brings all beings to maturity at the three levels. Basically, it means that our training has to ripen beings to the three results of either becoming a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha or a Bodhisattva. So it has to establish beings on the path of being either a listener, like Shravaka, or solitary realized Buddha, or a Bodhisattva, right? So that's the fourth feature. And when our practice is endowed with all four features, like it's, brings the opposing quality, in decline, it's endowed with this kind of non-conceptual wakefulness, it completely accomplishes all desires, and it ripens beings to the three results, then our practice is known as a paramita. Then it has that, status of being transcendental perfection.
Midun chok ni rimbashin serna sulchal kongro lelo namyen shechal tuksa. Ani ta kasore tenji chemba ina, chemba midun chokari re, sulimina midun chokari re sana, midun checho hina ne tangbo derwa. Ani chemba midun chokde serna re. Serna sedu dako sozo shecho jo yonden ina shenda labdo meba, pangi yoba. Sozo di gyuno longjo ina shenla chimbatanya chobo puyo je samlo meba pangi yoba. Ani shenji sok dang kange che yu zana shenla ni roba chendu yo lo meba. O tenche roji la serna sikirwa. Ani sul chal sikir, sul chal ko tim takda ma neba la kura sok chu. O teni koma kya zuni she la soba che di. Ani sul rim tim korang takda ma neba je tim dele che rul dang gal dhugu yo bayina tenzo che di sul chal sikirwa. Kedi zulrim ni midon choche. Ani soba midon choche kongro re. Sim rangshin machuba rangshin tenpo mane baje kongro lana. Ani ko soba midon chorwa. Ani Tsondru ji midon choche lelo. Ani Ka-Nying midon ba sanje chewa nanye chewa la soba chen nanda. Ani kyunne Ka-Nying mande ba inanda. Pa shumte ba inanda ta dinzo rawa. Ani samdun ji midon choche namnyang re. Namnyang la rin midon mangbo yorwa. Chikdi tene samchilo la Rangjung manjung tenpa dire chikde kaya tenjung beba nato me labare tenzo sama namyang re. Ani shero de medun chode shechal se to sama go masu pa kaya ha moko pa la labgo kurwa. Timuk lamna dhigre go ta shera panglang ji ne tenzo tang tang rangshin ji tenpi choy tenzo go masu pa la dhigyo na tila shechal se yore. Laso.
Khenpo la dampo di serna yanker chiksununan.
Serna sizozana ko sozo ji shebam sozo la yobi 다 최단 연된단 균노 농조 라서 마 디현의 테마도 방심 방심인데 so pena janang la chala te su ti choba pulyang pulyala ya bang mi jalo roba je ya phangwa janang la yunden ya bo yoba je yunden de shen la labya la phang yan janang ge sobo dang sama deu yu de mi la roba je to ne ba yu na di je la yang jendo me ba yu na tel sar ga sagre.
And now the text below the verse is actually clarifying the 3 of the 4 special features. It explains the 3 features, but the one of non-conceptual wisdom. There, Patrul Rinpoche is not going into detail at this point. But the first feature, where the adverse factors have disappeared, we need to understand what are the adverse, or in other words, opposing factors for each of the paramitas. So for adverse factors for the paramitas, then the text states, are stinginess and so on. So first of all, for generosity, the opposing factor is stinginess, or miserness, is when we have something like a material thing, a quality, some kind of possession, maybe even health and time, and we don't share it with others when they are in need. We see someone who needs something that we have at the moment. It could be an actual thing, but it could be our quality, it could be our skill, it could be something like we fit and we're strong and we can help, but we don't do it when someone is in distress, and we hold back because of stinginess. Means being afraid to lose something. It's being afraid of a loss. Oh, what will be left for me if I give, if I share, right? This kind of a fear, being bound by sense of loss and losing, and then that's kind of what we mean by stinginess, right? Not sharing with others what we have when they are in need, holding back. The second paramita has as its opposing factor, as it says here, wayward discipline, or could be understood as distorted discipline. So the discipline itself, it means our ethical behavior when we avoid, when we refrain from harming others, like killing them, taking life, taking what's not giving to us, like stealing, lying to them, sexual misconduct, and slandering, and so on and so forth. But when our discipline is lacking that, when we actually basically have a distorted discipline, I don't know, in other words, not having discipline, when we do harm others, that would be an opposing factor, right? When we don't have an ethical, moral code of being, then that's an opposing factor. An opposing factor for patience is anger, straightforward, right? If we have anger, we don't have patience. If we have patience, there's no anger. So they're really in opposition to each other. So anger has to be in decline in order for us to cultivate patience. As for the fourth paramita, the opposing factor of our diligence is laziness. Laziness can be understood as, of course, just wanting to take it easy, right? Sort of the laziness of being too laid back and not engaging in virtuous activity because we're just kind of just doing something. But it also means when we feel discouraged, when we feel like, oh, I can't, or someone else can, but me, I'm not good enough. That's actually putting ourselves down and feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough for this or that. This sense of self-contempt is also laziness. And of course, so there's also laziness of procrastination. We'll know that. Or practice of Dharma, I'll do it tomorrow. So this, laziness of idleness, of discouragement, or procrastination is an opposing factor to our diligence, or, joyful perseverance. As for the meditative concentration, the opposing factor for that is distraction. And by distraction, we don't mean only that our mind is very agitated, so that it's, you know, jumps from one subject to another and we can't remain calm and one-pointed. It also means, by, you know, distraction also means dullness. When we don't have too much thoughts or discursiveness, but we also don't have clarity. The aspect of clarity means like we're in a very oblivion, shut down state of mind. It seems to be that we don't have thoughts that are great, but we're actually just kind of like sinking in this dull state. This is also distraction. Okay, so it's both agitation and dullness. And the opposing factor for wisdom is misguided intelligence, or we can also say it's kind of like distorted discrimination. When we don't discriminate correctly, we don't understand what is good, what is bad. We're really confused about this. We don't have a good insight, and we sort of in this very confused, ignorant state of mind, not understanding, yeah, not being able to discern between, you know, phenomena. That's the opposing factor for the sixth paramita. And so those have to be, you know, gone, or have to be at least in decline for our practice to be called a paramita. So do you have any questions? We can take questions now. You can type or unmute yourself. Yesterday there was, oh, Karina, some question left. Oh, was there a question left that we were not able to address? Revela, the Michi Shunan, let's see. Let me see the chart. Let's see. Okay, yes, Stefani, last solo. So you did ask. So there's a, there seems to be a reciprocal relationship between past bodhisattvas who have requested to remain forever and supplicants praying that the bodhisattvas will live longer. Do these need one another, or is it a happy coincidence? I'm just, Stefani, would you be able to, because I'm not exactly understanding, just I understand all the words, but I kind of have two ideas and I want to translate exactly. Do you mean past bodhisattvas who have requested other like Buddha's teachers to remain forever, and then and which, so, and who are the supplicants then? Is it us, or I'm a little bit, I think I need some clarification.
Yeah, let me go back to it. So there are in our reading, there are past bodhisattvas who request to remain with us or remain forever. And then our prayer is to pray to the bodhisattvas that they stay with us longest. And this was when you say they might stay a minute longer, an hour longer, a day longer, or much longer. And I just wondered if our request of the bodhisattvas and the bodhisattvas' need are sort of by design working together with one another, or if it's accidental.
Yeah, the need, I'm just, I think I try to understand, when you say past bodhisattvas, they have been requested to remain forever, or they are the one who request? Because it's kind of could be both. So.
They are requesting to remain forever, and our supplication helps them in their request.
Okay.
So it seems to be a mutually beneficial, you know.
But they don't request, you mean they request themselves to remain longer, or there is a, you know, I'm a little bit, still I think a little bit lost. So maybe I can, so past bodhisattvas, they were requested to remain longer, or they the ones who request someone else to remain longer, or they request themselves?
Maybe it's not that important.
Oh, sorry, no, it's, I will just ask to, yeah, I think
It's what I thought I heard us say was bodhisattvas in the past had requested to stay on so that they could be of benefit to all human beings, or
yes,
all sentient beings.
yeah.
So that is their desire. When we ask that as well, we are supporting them in their desire.
I understand now. Yeah, I think it was just my mistranslation, because the word requested, they never request themselves. They really don't. It's only that others have to request. And when others requested them in the past, they did remain longer. And so now we looked at that, we're like, oh, we should request the present bodhisattvas to do the same, since it worked for the ones in the past. I think that's why I was a bit confused, because I think I mistranslated before. So they were requested by people like us, and so they remained longer, and it works. So it's not happy coincidence. It's really the prayer worked and they stayed longer, and now we should do the same. Sorry, it's just it's on me.
Good clarification. Thank you.
Yeah, that you that chikyo mare kansina the ne di kesan polcherdi keya pomagyurne yana morangi keya pomakone tets hamakone junson na yanda selpo junson di nacionalnin ledepa ma chik ra ma pevigi soldepti Rinpoche de Janju Sempa, Ngomage Janju Sempa, la mi shenda conso di Salvadabne, conso shupare, Yun Rinpoche pare, Jetsan Natsoyan da Garanda Andarayan Shogore, Janju Sempa da Lama de Sode Chik Kieda, Andampo conso Shugeres. And I'm Mangi Samsula di Janju Sempa, Ngoma di conso Gidopa di Yun Rinpo. De Gidopares, da consogi soldeb di Jeres, sosososila. And the that's key yapo makone the that's gotom sons. Are there any questions? We still have a few minutes. If there's something from today or. Oh, good, then we will dedicate merit.
Sonam de tamje zebani tamne nyebe jan pamje ne kega naje bala chubai sebe solendo tolwara Shangju Semjo Rinpoche Made Banan Gejuji Geba Nyamba Meba Yang Gongde